I got laid off. Hi friends, I'm going to share with you what happened to me, the red flags to look out for, the lessons learned, and my advice for you. I worked for the same company for about 18 years, first as a professional engineer and later as a people manager where I managed staff in 3 states and I was earning 6 figures, so life was good. Then one day I injured my back at work and everything changed. In that moment, I became instantly listed. If you don't know what listed is, I was leaning to one side and I couldn't straighten myself up. I was in extreme pain and distress. So I hobbled into my manager's office to report the incident. He appeared very cold and uncaring, and that's the first red flag I want to call out. He even gave priority to an incoming phone call whilst I stood there in extreme pain and distress. He had the nerve to also ask me a business question while he's on the phone, with no consideration for my well-being. In my opinion, he should not have answered the phone, as I was in pain and I needed attention. Normally, when a staff member is injured, you show some compassion and you go offline, not just carry on as if nothing happened. Then the first aid officer and safety rep were called and they escorted me to the sick room. But unfortunately, they didn't know where it was, so they ended up leading me to the wrong area. This extra walking and delay aggravated my injury and heightened my stress and pain. In hindsight, I should have just laid on the floor in my manager's office. Furthermore, the bed in the sick room was not very supportive and there was no hot pack for pain relief. These events were not recorded in the investigation report, so it's quite convenient for them to have missed that out. I laid on that bed in the sick room for about 2 hours, expecting my manager to come and check on me and see how I was going. But there was no visit, which caused me mental anguish. My lesson here is not to expect others to behave like you behave. The safety rep then drove me home. I was off work for about 2 weeks and I made the mistake of going back to work too early as I was still in pain and not able to walk properly. I did this out of loyalty, knowing that they needed me. I had staff relying on me and there was work to be done. I should have taken more time off for my health instead of putting myself second and the company first. When I eventually received a copy of the incident investigation report, I noticed that the wrong incident date was on the report. It was 4 months earlier that they put on there. And also, I found out that they falsified my timesheet by saying that I worked a normal shift the day of the injury, which happened in the morning. They also recorded my workplace injury as a minor incident, which it wasn't, so that was misleading. You see, when you get injured and you're off work for more than one full shift, that's called a lost time injury, LTI, which companies frown upon. Having no LTIs to them is a measure of success in regards to health and safety. And I think some managers get bonuses if they end up not having any LTIs. Also, for months before the incident, I had an incorrect workstation setup and a faulty chair, which they replaced with another faulty chair because they didn't want to spend money to get me a proper chair. And when they wrote up the incident investigation report, they didn't mention this as a contributing factor. Maybe that's why they moved the incident date incorrectly to 4 months earlier to bypass all that information. How this incident was handled and recorded caused me unnecessary stress and anxiety. It made my pain worse and prolonged my recovery. At first, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to rock the boat. But then this voice in my head kept saying to me, this isn't right, this isn't right, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed. Even though I adopted many strategies to help with my recovery for my back injury, going to many chiros and physio appointments, and I even had some counselling. And because of that counselling, I came to conclude that despite all my efforts, my recovery would remain incomplete because of the unresolved issues on how this incident was handled and recorded. The lesson here is to put things right while you still have a chance. That's when I decided to confront my manager to put things right. Since that day, I noticed a shift in his attitude. And shortly after, the department decided to have a restructure, and I felt like I was being targeted. This was noticed and confirmed by a few other people who I considered to be honest and trustworthy. There was also a spill and fill. So what they do is they spill all the positions and then they refill them. And what happened there was I had to reapply for my own job with a different title. And I noticed that there was quite a few people that were directly nominated into a position, which was very questionable in terms of that process. And all my staff were reassigned to other managers. It was a crazy time. People went into survival mode. They were updating the resumes, printing stuff off, and making sure no one was watching what they were printing. It felt like everyone was competing against one another. Openness and trust was gone. Rumours started. People started whispering. Deals were being done behind closed doors. There was grovelling and lying. It was all there. Anyway, I ended up being made redundant, which made me feel betrayed because I was so loyal for so long. I even felt humiliated because less qualified and experienced people got roles that I didn't get. And I felt embarrassed because of the job loss and even scared. I was afraid because I didn't know what was going to happen in the future because I had a wife and 3 young children to feed and send to school, and also I had a debt of over $400,000. So I ended up going through the normal grieving process: shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally emerging acceptance. Once I accepted that this was the end and that no one was coming to save me, I started actively looking for a new job. I reached out to my network and found that there were 2 companies hiring not very far from where I lived. So I forwarded them my resume and I got both interviews. I went to the interviews and I did fairly well, and they both offered me a job. One was paying less than what I was currently getting, and the other one was paying more and had more growth opportunities. So I took the other one. I clearly remember the first day I was met in the foyer on the ground floor by this lady, and she had a huge grin, a huge smile on her face, and I didn't know what was up with her because it just seemed a bit strange. And she seemed so happy. But then when I got out of the floor and I started walking towards my new desk, I realized that everyone seemed to be happy, which was definitely not the case from where I came from. Now, my new job wasn't permanent. It was actually a 3-month contract. But at the end of the contract, they offered me a permanent position and a pay increase, which was great. So looking back on my experience, it was both a lesson and a blessing. And I guess the same applies to everything in life. Now, I'll quickly summarize the red flags because that might help you if you're going through something similar or you've been through something similar. Number 1, I wrote, my manager appeared cold and uncaring. So that was a red flag for me. Also, there was a shift in my manager's attitude once I confronted him and disclosed what I found out, the truth I found out, and all the incorrect recordings and just how I was being treated in general. Another red flag is companies falsifying documentation. That's the incident report and timesheet in my case. Also, when they started reassigning my staff to other managers, that was a red flag. And I was forced to apply for my own job through the spill and fill process. But that was all a bit of a setup because it looked like they definitely were targeting me to get rid of me. Also, there was direct appointments, and managers denied that they directly appointed people. Even though I spoke to people, even other states, they told me they got a call and they were off the job without an interview, which isn't supposed to be the protocol there. And another red flag is HR not doing the right thing, but instead supporting poor behaviour in order to protect the company. Now, in terms of lessons and advice, number 1, Judge a tree by the fruit it bears. In other words, judge people by their actions, not their words. Number 2, don't expect others to behave the way you would. Number 3, your health comes first, because without your health, you've got nothing and you can't help anyone. Number 4, don't rely on your memory. Document everything. Number 5, put right while you still have a chance. That's it. Put things right while you still have a chance. Trust your gut. Now, HR is usually biased and on the employer's side, not the employee's side. I was a bit naive. I thought that they were independent and that they would treat situations fairly, but no, they definitely have a bias because they're obviously paid by the employer. No one is coming to save you. I mentioned that before. And if you're laid off, don't panic. Take a break, go for a walk and breathe. Breathing helps because it releases endorphins. Another learn to forgive others who have done you wrong, as that gives you back the power, because if you don't forgive them, they've got the power. They end up controlling your emotions, and you don't want that. You don't want anyone else controlling your emotions but you. So forgive people and take back the power. Also know that we all make mistakes, and for us to be forgiven of our mistakes, we need to forgive others. That's how we end up in peace, living in peace. Now, if you're made redundant, look at your finances, create a budget. You may need to make some changes, cancel some subscriptions that really are just nice to have. And you may need to sell things that you don't need. You may also be able to withdraw some money from your superannuation fund if you're really struggling. Update your resume and your LinkedIn profile and reach out to your network and let them know that you're available for hire. That's how I ended up getting those 2 interviews. It was through my network. It was people that knew me, I knew them, and we had a relationship, and obviously they recommended me for roles in their organisation. Also, I highly recommend you protect yourself by creating multiple sources of income. Never rely on a single employer for your income, because if you lose that job, then you're really stuck. So it's best to have multiple sources of income. And create a career plan, starting with career clarity. Figure out what your passion and purpose is and follow that. And that's what I did. So if you want help with your career, or you want to make multiple sources of income, reach out to me. We discuss what's possible for you. My details are in the description or maybe in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching this video. Remember, if you're interested in career-related content direct from someone who has over 45 years of working experience in various roles, from employee to employer to business owner, spent the last 10 years coaching people on how to take charge of their life and career and improve it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, you want to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, got some value, please give it a thumbs up so it can reach and help other people. Let me know in the comments what you thought, if you had any questions, or if you've experienced something similar in your learnings. And if you know someone that needs to see this video, please do share it. Till next time, take care. Bye.